also a second priority. And then we move on to the Waitonga Sites of Significance project being at number 3. I've also been made aware that I've missed out the rural residential strategy in the table of priorities, and to just confirm that that is a priority number 3 alongside the Waitonga Sites of Significance project. While it is number 3 in the team's list of priorities, it is of course top priority for the planner project managing that project. Following that, then we have processing private plan changes and fast track resource consent applications. And while they sit at 4 in the priority table, I guess it is perhaps more accurate if they were to move up the table on reflection, because of the timeframes involved, particularly in fast track resource consent applications. We kind of have to drop everything to address those fast track proposals, given the timeframes are so constrained and so short. And the same with processing private plan changes. When we receive an application, we are bound by legislation to meet those timeframes in the Resource Management Act. So they do get raised in their priorities above things like the commercial zone review, for instance. So I'm happy to take questions. Thank you, Kia ora.
Thank you, Anna. Just acknowledging all the work that's been done while there's so many moving parts with the RMA reforms and the in-depth amount of information that you've provided for councillors. So just want to thank you for that. Councillors, do we have any questions? Councillor Corbyn.
Thank you, Chair. The spatial plan, when is work going to, you talk about readiness, but when is actual work going to start on that?
So work has started on readiness. Currently there is a meeting, the first workshop of staff, of policy managers from the Regional Council, Central Hawke's Bay, Wairoa, Napier City and Hastings, currently occurring at the Regional Council now and this afternoon, and that is to just come together, look at all the information that each council has currently that would inform a regional spatial plan. And it's also to kind of map out how we might work together on this regional spatial plan. Work will actually start once the bills become law, which is expected to be August, September, and we know exactly what the acts will say about regional spatial planning and what's to be included and the scope of a regional spatial plan. Then we'll get that certainty.
Thank you. And my second question, updated flood modelling. We've got quarter to 2026. What months is that actually? Is that quarter 2, is that April, May, June, or is it September, something or other?
My understanding is, June is the end of
Calendar,
quarter 2.
Calendar year.
So yes, it's a calendar year. So there may be some slippage in these timeframes already that the Regional Council have provided us.
Thank you.
But that's the most up-to-date information I have.
Thank you, Councillor. Just a reminder in regards to standing orders and keeping us well and fit if we can stand when we're asking questions. Thank you. Mayor Wendy.
Thank you, Chair. And through you, I just want to acknowledge that looking at the priority order, while you've done your best, I see lots of equals next to things. And I note that when we add in the rural and residential strategy, which thank you for highlighting that, that was a question I had, really we're almost talking about 8 big bodies of work that are really one, priority level 1. And just wanted to understand actually purely from a delivery perspective, can you please highlight for us any risks in that area? I am putting you on the spot.
No, okay. Thank you for your question. Yes, in terms, you're correct in that there is a lot of work, and I guess the risk lies in resourcing. You know, we have staff that have recently been seconded into a consent team. And we have another staff member who's recently accepted a position in our parks team. So we do need to recruit for more planners in the environmental policy team as a result. But we're managing, we've got, you know, excellent senior staff who are capable and who are very efficient in what they do. But we know that we do need to recruit more staff, particularly to resource the spatial plan work, and we are working on that currently.
Fiona? Thank you. And if I may make a request, and it is just an action through you, Chair, it's just if we can be kept live through this committee for any developing risks in that area or resourcing requirements. I'm just very conscious that this in particular is an area of council where the wheels could come off and we could have a real impact on our community. I also acknowledge the tension that the team's operating under and wish to acknowledge that around private plan changes and fast tracking. Those are unpredictable bodies of work, and we need only look at the list here to see actually quite a bit. So just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge that. Thank you.
Sorry, we are going to keep with our being fit and ask our officers also to stand when questioned. Thank you. Councillor Lorcan.
Yes, through you, Chair. Just looking at 1.16, I'm very interested to see how the Queen Street example of the mixed-use development, you know, where we're integrating office and retail and hospitality and inner-city living, how that works in an untested Hastings CBD environment. Do we have any idea, or has there been any thought in terms of how far ahead of the completion of that development will we start measuring its integration, its effectiveness, and that kind of thing?
So in terms of, thank you. Apologies. So the Queen Street development is just in its inception. It's just beginning construction. So until it is completed as a whole, I understand it's being constructed in stages. And so until it is completed, then we won't be able to monitor how effective it is and to get that understanding of the response, the market response to that mixed-use development.
Supplementary information.
Yes, you may.
I wasn't. I know it's in its inception, and there's a long way to go. I just wondered if, in the planning of that, there is any sort of, I guess, forward planning. Going, okay, well, this is something that's just starting. How many years ahead do we kind of want to be able to look back on this and go, is it work? I'm just curious as to whether that's in the plan. That's all.
Yes, of course. That's probably something I need to get back to you on and discuss with the growth team, and but we can update you on that.
Are you happy for that, Councillor Lorcan? Yeah. We also have the inner city living in Havelock, so there might be something that we can bring back to Councillor Lorcan in regards to that as well. Thank you. Any other questions, councillors? All right. Okay, I'm looking for a mover and a seconder. Mayor Wendy and Councillor Watkins. We're going to open for debates and comments. No? Okay. I'm going to put those recommendations to the floor, which I'll read them for us just because it's a very in-depth report. Recommendation that the Strategy and Policy Committee receive the report titled Environment Policy Teamwork Programme Update and Setting of Priorities dated 17th June 2026. Also that the committee endorse the Environmental Policy Teamwork Programme Update and Settings of Priorities, as this ensures council meets its statutory requirements. Mover and seconder, you're happy with those? I'll put those recommendations to the floor. Those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Ka ora nei? No? Any abstentions? That is carried. Thank you. Thank you, Anna, for your mahi, and if you can pass on our sentiments to your team as well. Thank you. Okay, item 5 on the agenda is Civil Defence Emergency Management Activity Planning, and we'd like to invite Regan to present. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Kia ora koutou. Good afternoon. Yeah, so just bringing back to you for a bit of high-level direction on what areas we put into our long-term plan as part of the activity planning process for the focus areas on emergency management. The paper can be taken as read. It's just worth noting the Emergency Management Bill proposing changes to the current Emergency Management Act is now going to second reading in Parliament. There are no substantive changes to that bill that affect this paper. So broadly speaking, the areas of intent are the same. So yeah, just looking for endorsement around key areas of community resilience, iwi Māori partnerships, our emergency management workforce development, operational framework, that's our readiness internally in terms of systems and facilities, and then hazard planning as key focus areas for the next long-term plan. Happy to take any questions.
Councillors, do we have any questions for the officer? Me Wendy.
Not a question, if that's all right, Chair, if I may make a comment instead. Just want to acknowledge that obviously this has been tied in quite tightly to the transformational strategy that's been endorsed at a regional level and by this council previously, and from my perspective is comprehensive and addresses those key areas. I also note the transparency around 5.2 and 5.3 with 1.6 million funding included in the annual plan that we signed off on last week, that we've indicated we're happy with last week, but also recognising that it did have an HBRC contribution and that the LTP will have to allow for a bigger contribution. So just thank you for the comprehensive nature of the report.
Any other councillors have any questions? No, it just shows that this is a very comprehensive report. Just from the chair, in 6.7, the advantage of using the 5 focus areas listed above is that they will be enduring areas of focus beyond any one work program. So thank you for detailing that as well. I don't think I'm going to call for any debate and comments, but I don't think we are going to traverse that way, but should we? No? Okay, I'm going to put those recommendations to the floor. That the Strategy and Policy Committee received a report titled Civil Defence Emergency Management Activity Plan dated 17 June 2026. That the committee notes and endorses the following focus areas for development into an emergency management activity plan for the 2027-2037 long-term plan, community resilience, iwi Māori partnerships, emergency management workforce, response framework, hazard planning, and that the committee notes that this work program will deliver on the council's obligations under the Civil Defence Emergency Management Regional Transformational Strategy and Service Level Agreements, as mentioned by Mayor Wendy. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Councillor O'Keefe, Councillor Ratcliffe, all those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Kaurane? No. Any abstentions? That is carried. Thank you. Thank you, Regan, for your report as well, and please pass on our sentiments to your team as well. Councillors, we are moving like a good storm. Item 6 on the agenda is budget reallocation, regional coordination and priorities, and presenting this is Gus Charteris.
Thank you, Chair. Through you, kia ora, councillors. So here we've been talking about, thank you, the evolving nature of our regional infrastructure and how we support regional priorities, including the decision to formally wind down the Hawke's Bay Regional Economic Development Agency and the decision taken to establish an interim regional office to assist with our regional coordination work while longer term arrangements continue to be worked through. So this is really just enabling our interim regional office to do that work. We had a $500,000 set aside in financial year 25-26 for Hawke's Bay Regional Economic Development Agency. We only provided 250,000 of that funding. With your approval, we held back the latter half because we knew that we would need to redirect that funding to support regional priorities. So that's approval number one, to have the 250,000 that we have in this year's budget to moved across to the interim regional office. We're also seeking your approval, subject to other councils continuing to play their funding role for the next financial year. It's important now because the interim regional office, while they've been operating on the existing hangover funding that they had from being the Regional Recovery Agency, the government funding, that's right. There are increased costs at the moment because of the simplifying local government process. So the interim regional office, just to be clear, is about 5 people. And then they are utilising the expertise of a small number of consultants, including those supporting the simplifying local government process. So they are supporting that work, the regional housing work. They'll be supporting the councils on pre and post election engagement with central government, and they continue to be our point of contact with central government. So I've suggested in the paper, and we would take it as a commitment, to have them bring back a more detailed plan for how they are going to utilise that funding. And in the meantime, we're seeking your approval to have that funding directed to them.
Thank you, Gus. Councillor Fowler, I'm going to move to questions.
Through to you, I support this. I think it's a piece of work that needs to be done, and also too, it's a good use of resource which doesn't drain the ratepayers anymore. So well done. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Milmine.
Thank you. I too support the principle of this. I just would like to note that it's a bit disappointing that Wairoa are not contributing. But also, so do you have confidence that this additional fund will last throughout the process of the Head Start, or what timeline and what work do you think will keep that?
Through you, Chair, a very good question. Yes, we have some confidence that with the funding that has been made available for Reader in the past, as long as all the other councils play their role, and this decision would be subject to, that the regional office should be able to scale that work program. Of course, there will be choices around what they can and can't take on, but I think if the priority is simplifying local government and with a couple of other things, then they should have that funding, should have the ability to be able to support that.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Monteputo Hendry.
Thank you, through you, Chair. I'm just following Councillor Milmine's questions. You sort of indicated that possibly there won't be enough money and we'll have to make choices. So would there be more requests for money in the future on top of that?
Through you, Chair. No, I think, as always, we set up the interim regional office in order to support regional coordination. There are a whole range of things that we could do at any one time. I think it just comes down to the priorities that we want to take forward. So simplifying local government is clearly a priority, and that would be the thing that would be funded first. Regional housing has always been a priority. Some of the other things like sectoral work or whatever other things that we might like to do might fall off the priority list in order to do those things which are critical over the next couple of years. So does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Thank you. If I may just ask another, just I'm sort of in favour of moving this money over to you, but it'll be really, not you, sorry, to the entity. It'll just be really cool to understand really where that money's going when we've been so tight with everybody else, and the rhetoric has been there is no money, to just hand it over without a full understanding of what we will lose and what the priorities will be from what the original MOU and everything would be advantageous. Thank you.
Yes, that's good whakaaro thinking, Councillor Monteputo Hendry, sorry. But what we also have to remember is that the reforms were put upon us with no financial budget, so some form of allocation needs to come. I think I would also be okay in saying that post the decision from Cabinet, there'll be work to be done post that as well. So it may require, it may not, depends on investment. Councillor Lorcan.
Yes, through you, Chair. I'm just not sure of, I might have missed it, but what regional councils, the level of their contribution will be. And it is, reiterating what Councillor Milmine said about it being very disappointing that Wairoa have chosen to opt out. To me, it indicates the Hastings District ratepayers stumping up and paying for a lot of regional development themselves. And effectively, I could be wrong, but it seems that, we're paying for Wairoa's inclusion and participation in a program that they're not contributing to financially. They're our resources. And when you look at 4.7, it says we're stating that this work involving future regional development structures and delivery of local government functions are of high importance to Hastings District Council and the wider region. And clearly it isn't for Wairoa. It's just my piece.
Your comments have been noted, and I think we also need to remember our part in this is that we need to continue to move forward, and however that looks. You don't have any comment on that, or?
Through you, Chair, we hear your frustration and share it.
Thank you. Any other questions, councillors? Oh, sorry, Councillor Nixon. How can I leave you out?
Oh, well, very quiet over here in my corner
You are.
today. Clearly, this proposal is very dependent on recommendation D, that is the contribution from other councils. I just wondered, are we confident that that's going to happen, or alternatively, can we have some sort of an update, because it won't happen if those things don't happen?
Through you, Chair, I can confirm that Central Hawke's Bay have already made the decision to contribute, and it's scheduled to be heard at Naked City Council next week.
Thank you. Yep, I'm looking.
Mayor Wendy.
Thank you, Chair, and through you, would just like to make a commitment that I will take back the feedback around Wairoa's contribution or lack thereof to future hui, and also would just like to highlight that when given the opportunity to talk to ministers, a phrase was used, which is simplifying local government is a carrot and a stick, with the carrot being framed as the head start, to which the response was, where's the money carrot? However, as has been highlighted, central government is leaving it for us to pick up the costs here, unbudgeted, and we're doing the best with what we have. So I acknowledge the work that the team has done to try and find money and redivert it. Very supportive of the motion.
Thank you. Any other questions, councillors? No, I'm looking for a direction. Councillor Nixon, which option 1, option 2? Option 1, yep. A seconder? Councillor Fowler, Deputy Mayor Fowler. Okay, councillors, we're going to move into debate and comments. No? Okay, I'm going to put that recommendation to the... Oh, would you like a comment, Councillor Nixon?
Yeah, I just wanted to make a little comment if I could.
Sorry, I forgot to come back to you as the mover. Yep.
Yeah, it just, there's been a bit of comment about one of our councils not joining them, but I think we need to keep the things sort of real friendly and all the rest of it. It doesn't matter what's happening. I just want to see our relationship being maintained so that we don't sort of corner people, because sometimes that has a habit of backfiring. Just keep working at it. That's what I would suggest.
Thank you for your comments. Councillor, I'm going to put... Oh, no? Any more comment? No? Okay, I'm going to put that recommendation to the floor. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Kaora nay, no. Any abstentions? That is carried. Thank you. Right, we are moving into item 7, Draft Regional Spaces and Places Plan Update, and we have Emma Morgan to present.
Kia ora, councillors. Thank you for the opportunity to present this update report to you today. So this report provides an update on the draft Regional Spaces and Places Plan. The purpose of this plan is, There we go. So the purpose of this plan is to get better value from the Spaces and Places network that support play, active rec and sport across our region. This work stems from a council request to take a broader strategic view of the whole network following discussions on Windsor Park a few odd years ago. The development of the plan was endorsed by Hawke's Bay Chief Executives in 2024 through the Spaces and Places regional planning approach. This provided the mandate for the development of 3 priority projects. One has already been completed, and that's the Hawke's Bay Sports Field Review. One is underway at the moment, that's the Regional Aquatic Facilities Plan, and one is this one, which is nearing completion, and it's a review of the 2015 Regional Facilities Plan. The project is a partnership between Hawke's Bay Council, Sport Hawke's Bay and Sport New Zealand, and has been facilitated by Sport Hawke's Bay on behalf of us councils. Councillors co-funded it. The plan builds on our Hastings District Sport and Active Recreation Facilities Review, or SAF, as you may have heard it called. And some of you may recall the workshop presentation by Sport New Zealand and Sport Hawke's Bay a couple of years ago, which was followed up by our presentation on the findings of SAF. The SAF plan, or SAF review, recommended that we maintain our facilities and plan. This Regional Spaces and Places Plan aligns with those SAF recommendations.
This next slide deals with some of the themes and insights that have come through in the draft plan, which identifies that participation in sport, rec and play remains strong. However, those patterns are changing. What it shows is that preferences are evolving and that there is increasingly demand for informal and self-directed type activities, which are the likes of swimming, running, those sorts of things. Then there is obviously, as part of it also, is that organised sport for rangatahi in particular remains important, particularly through schools and clubs. The other thing that comes through as part of looking at it as a regional network is various themes and insights. What they show is that Hawke's Bay is generally well served in terms of its regional sport, rec and play facility network, and that we are extremely lucky with our blue and green environments and the assets that they provide for our community. Although we are well served, there are some challenges, and those challenges are uneven performance across certain facilities, ageing infrastructure, in some cases that peak time demand pressures are strong, but then in other areas not so much, and there's an underutilisation of those facilities. The other thing that the draft plan showed is that there's ongoing challenges in relating to sport, rec and play around equitable access, affordability, quality of spaces and long-term sustainability. As part of this, we've looked at a variety of evidence sources and what that is showing is that the provision needs to evolve. And that this is providing a good driver for change in terms of how we plan these spaces.
So the draft plan recommends that we shift our thinking from thinking about individual sites in isolation to managing all facilities, spaces and places as part of a coordinated, interconnected system, and that system be considered on a region-wide basis. Play, sport and active recreation occurs across council boundaries. By taking this approach and looking at the way our spaces and places have distinct but complementary roles, we can distribute participation more evenly across the network, We can mitigate duplication. We can look at the impacts that closure, new facilities or improved facilities may have on existing spaces and places. We can optimise what we've got, and we can encourage facilities that have a purely local level role not to get developed beyond that role. Retaining, maintaining, renewing, optimising and improving what we've got is a key message in this draft plan before looking at any future investment and significantly expanding the network. Part of optimising what we've got is acknowledging the value that our blue and green spaces, those non-built environments, have in the provision of play, sport and active rec opportunities in Hawke's Bay. So the draft plan provides us with an approach for implementation. It doesn't commit any council, Sport Hawke's Bay, Sport New Zealand funder or any partner organisation to fund specific projects. Rather, it establishes a shared regional framework, supports regional collaboration, and it provides us with a specific decision-making framework so that we can have a consistent network approach across the region, prioritise projects, test future proposals, assess need, make sure they're based on evidence, consider network impacts, determine feasibility, and guide investment priorities. So as I said, it's evidence-based, and its view is to optimise first and look at flexible multi-use shared spaces that respond to and align with our activity preferences and our participation trends. The direction is broadly consistent with Council's strategic planning, and it reinforces a focus on affordability, sustainability, and maximising value from existing infrastructure. This piece of work is quite interconnected with a number of other pieces of work that have either recently been introduced to you or are coming. The plan has been developed and tested alongside, for example, the Tōmoana Showgrounds Master Plan and the Mitre 10 Park Master Plan. Both of these draft plans are identified as priority, or both of these assets, are identified as priority sub-regional assets within the wider Hawke's Bay network. And both of these draft master plans are generally aligned with the draft regional spaces and places plans, direction and priorities.
So in terms of next steps, both Emma and I have been involved in a project steering group alongside the partner councils, Sport Hawke's Bay and Sport NZ. And it's expected that the partners will endorse the draft plan in July, and that plan be brought back to council for a decision. It's anticipated that all the councils endorse the plan at the same time, and there is a body of work which I'm sure you're all familiar with, which is the Regional Aquatic Strategy, which is being done at the same time as this plan, and that is due, the draft is due September this year, and Tom is here to answer any questions around that body of work. And as Emma has said, there is obviously alignment with the master plans that are currently being done for Mitre 10 Park and Tōmoana, and they will come back to council for a decision in due course.
Thank you both. Members, do we have any questions for Anna and Emma and possibly Tom? Councillor Corbyn.
Thank you, Chair. I'm very pleased to see this coming and developing. It's important that we use our assets efficiently across the region. My question is, have the codes that use the parks, etc., been involved in this process? Because what I see is some codes say, we don't want to go there, we want to go there, there and there, and how does that fit into such a plan?
Through the chair, thank you, Councillor Corbyn. Yes, they have been involved in the early stages of this project. They were specifically involved also in the regional sports field review, and we've been able to work with the codes and our current facility network to reallocate certain activities to optimise our network. So I guess it's already been in use in the sports field space. With this plan, they've just been engaged in the early days to gather the evidence and the findings and the trends.
Any other questions, councillors? No? I'm going to call for a mover and a seconder. Councillor Mulmine and Councillor Corbin. I'm going to move into debate and comments if we have any. No? Just before we do, I just want to make a comment on the presentation, Emma and Anna, around the interconnected systems. I think that's a really good approach instead of looking at the priorities in the silo, and also looking at what we've got before we look at future investments. So I just think those are great details that you've put into the report. So I'm going to put the recommendation to the table that the Strategy and Policy Committee receive the report titled Draft Regional Spaces and Places Plan, update dated 17 June 2026 for information purposes. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Kaora nay? No. Any abstentions? That is carried. Thank you. And thank you for your report. Councillors, we are moving on to item 8 and 9. There are no minor or urgent items on the agenda. So I just want to thank our community that are watching online, and I also want to inform our community that although some of the presentations and questioning have been short, the amount of work that our officers and teams do to ensure that we have in-depth information has been great. And so I commend Gus and the teams and the officers for that information. And I'm going to ask Councillor O'Keefe if you would like. Oh, sorry. Is it? No, we're going to close first, aren't we? Yes. Sorry. So I'm going to ask Councillor O'Keefe if you can close us with a karakia. Thank you.
E kai hanga o ngā mea katoa. A rahi mai ki tō mātauranga, uhia mai ngā hua ki roto, I te ingoa a ihu kraiki. Ake. Amen.
Thank you, Councillor O'Keefe.